Hi everyone, this is Stan, your favorite Polish Taiwan YouTuber. Hope you're all having a great day. Welcome to today's show. Today let's talk about the university games that are going on right now in China. And I have actually titled this video, Why Xi Jinping Hates Chinese Youth. Recently, the attention of China watchers and the news covering issues in the CCP around China was focused on the disappearance of China's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Qin Gang. However, have you all noticed that Chengdu is currently hosting the World University Games? Yeah, probably it's not on the news right now, but I think it's pretty worthy to talk about it. Just watch the recent news related to the University Games. The official media proudly promoted the use of AI simultaneous translation into more than 50 languages in 140 countries at the airport entry points, making foreign students from around the world participating in the competition feel convenient. However, in my opinion, it sounds like a pretty scary piece of news. For a young person, it might be even scarier than getting caught by North Korea's military, because now the CCP can understand everything that you say. Do you think it's okay as long as you don't say something straightforward like Xi Jinping is a dictator, right? Of course not. Even if you jokingly say something in your own language like she's secretly in love with Guailing, a Chinese-American woman who decided to participate in the Olympics as a Chinese sportsperson instead of representing the US, they will secretly mark it down in Xi's little book, where he keeps the record of all your sins. I hope those participants and coaches pray that during the competition the CCP won't use them as leverage against their home countries. Basically, every foreigner who enters China can potentially be kidnapped by the CCP to be used in their hostage diplomacy. The CCP government has always heavily promoted hosting world-class sports events. Besides bribing important figures in various international and sports organizations and cultivating relationships with them to collect intelligence, they also conduct brainwashing propaganda within and outside their borders. All of this is simply to send a signal to the world that no matter how arrogant the Communist Party is, it won't be punished by these international organizations. Moreover, those international organizations that decided to lick the CCP's boots will speak out for the CCP and will do everything in their power to actually conduct those tournaments in China. I made a video in 2022 calling for a boycott of the Beijing Winter Olympics and condemning certain international big brands, including sports brands and multinational beverage companies, for sponsoring the Beijing Winter Olympics, despite the CCP's human rights abuses, threats to Taiwan, and concealment of the truth about the pandemic. I also talked about Nazi Germany invading Austria 2 years after the 1936 Summer Olympics. After Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin publicly signed the Unlimited Partnership Agreement before the opening of the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics, Russia launched a massive invasion of Ukraine shortly after the closing ceremony, and the CCP assisted Russia in fighting against Ukraine behind the scenes. In normal circumstances, these international competitions come with significant economic benefits, such as sponsorships from brand companies and advertisers, an influx of tourist spending, and most importantly, winning bids allow construction companies contracted by the government to profit significantly from building sports facilities or being involved in infrastructure projects. However, in China, this can turn into collision between government officials and businesses. For example, during the 2008 Olympics, some of the venues that were constructed were later exposed to have become complete ruins, aside from iconic venues like the Water Cube and the Bird's Nest. These sports facilities, built using Chinese taxpayers' money, are built with a single purpose: to make the CCP look great. As long as they serve as propaganda tools for showcasing the grandeur of the CCP regime, that's sufficient. And after the competitions end, there are no related support measures or maintenance plans in place. Additionally, the government is not held accountable for any failures, and the athletes themselves are merely products carefully cultivated by the state, lacking any genuine sports culture from the grassroots level. Likewise, the upcoming University Games might not be an exception. The various facilities built specifically for the competition are currently enjoyed by only a few foreign athletes, a handful of Chinese athletes and coaches. The majority of Chinese youth can only watch the government spend lavishly while they struggle to find jobs. They can't even afford tickets to attend the games, let alone have the mood to watch them. So the economic benefits of international competitions typically end up being taken by the Chinese Communist Party and the parties related to the CCP, while ordinary citizens behind the Great Firewall receive no tangible benefit. Those national-level facilities hardly serve the people. Ordinary citizens are only worthy of sports venues is of much lower quality, such as the recent incident when the gymnasium at the 34th Middle School in Qiqihar, Heilongjiang, collapsed, which resulted in the tragic death of 11 students and a coach. Furthermore, the government is trying to control and suppress the voices of the parents of these children, prohibiting them from expressing their grief and anger towards the local government and school. They can only hide in corners and cry silently. Of course, we all know that in the People's Republic of China there are numerous wasteful projects, ghost cities, abandoned buildings, and tofu drag construction projects that are specifically designed for money grab. For example, recently there has been a discussion within the Great Firewall about the Hainan high-speed rail station, which cost a staggering 41.59 million yuan. That's approximately 178.8 million NTD to build. The local government simply rushed to build the high-speed rail station that no one ended up using in the past, solely for the purpose of boosting GDP, without evaluating its economic benefits, depreciation, maintenance issues, or considering whether the surrounding areas have the demand for a high-speed rail station. Regarding the issue of youth unemployment in China, I believe everyone is aware that the official statistics for this year's youth unemployment rate in the People's Republic of China is more than 20%. Some experts and scholars even believe that the actual unemployment rate might be higher than what the CCP officially announces. From the news on Radio France International, RFI, we can see some related data. According to the data from China's National Bureau of Statistics in March, there are approximately 96 million people aged 16 to 24 in China. Among them, about one-third, roughly 32 million, are part of the labor force. However, currently 6.3 million people are classified as unemployed, which means 20% of the labor force is unemployed. Additionally, two-thirds of the youth, approximately 64 million, are not part of the labor force. After deducting the 48 million students who are still studying, there are about 16 million young people who are not in school, making up around 33% of this group. These individuals are likely the ones facing issues such as living off their parents, adopting a lying flat lifestyle to protest against the intensifying competition within the Chinese society. Of course, I know that some people may argue that non-school going individuals might be preparing for postgraduate studies, job hunting, or taking a break for health reasons, and that they will eventually become part of the labor force and return to education. However, I see this as a way of avoiding the reality. From the current situation, it seems that they are not actively engaged in productive activities. Another factor we need to consider is that the parents of these Chinese young people are also facing pressure from unemployment and the ever-rising property prices. With their children staying at home as part of the lying flat generation or relying on their parents, it's certain that they will have even fewer job prospects in the future. However, the family still needs to repay housing loans, car loans, credit card debts, and various other loans. Even if they want to pay off their mortgage early, the banks will not let them, and they would have to wait for several months just to pay in advance. It's as if the country and the banks are forcing them to suffer financially. Even if some people have money in the bank, it might not necessarily guarantee anything. The story of the banks in Hunan are still fresh in everyone's memory. People could take their money out because the bank and the local government said so. Don't you find this interesting? At the beginning of the video, I mentioned that Chinese propaganda claimed that during this year's University Games, airports would implement AI simultaneous translation for over nearly 50 languages, right? If they want to address the issue of youth unemployment, why not simply hire more young people as interpreters? Instead, the Chinese government is using more artificial intelligence in various industries to replace the jobs that could have been done by young people. This is the most ingenious tactic of the CCP. On the one hand, they claim to help young people find employment, but on the other hand, they're promoting automation to replace human labor. At the same time, they restrict the development of various industries, and the cultural and creative industry can only praise the Communist Party while undergoing various forms of censorship. They also crack down on educational training industries, which is another way to limit the job market for young people. Overall, I suspect that Xi Jinping hates the young people. It's because he didn't experience the same childhood years as modern children, and he dislikes those who are smarter, more creative, and have a broader international perspective than him. He especially dislikes people who challenge him. Imagine an 18-year-old who, from the age of 15, has experienced 3 years of the pandemic and zero-COVID policies. Then, after finally graduating from high school, Xi Jinping doesn't want young people to pursue higher education and doesn't want them to travel abroad to learn about different cultures. He is most afraid that young people will learn about freedom and democracy, which would pose a threat to his regime. What he wants is for young people to be like the Red Guards of his time, lacking a true understanding of how society functions and simply following Chairman Xi blindly. He wants to use artificial intelligence to replace jobs that require mental effort, while sending humans back to rural areas to perform manual labor like planting crops, thus forcing them to live in his past. I even dare to say that these university games in Chengdu is actually an event where foreign young people are invited to observe the spectacle of China's unemployment youth in the CCP-controlled China. To be honest, the current problems faced by the Chinese government cannot be solved by the past method of profiting from licking the CCP's boots. Even if Xi Jinping blocks the entire national internet and forbids the use of phones and internet, the young people in China can still sense the real economic downturn from the social atmosphere. Without a proper understanding of the economy, Xi Jinping's continuation of the spend big policies since the opening up will only exacerbate the situation of economic bubble, and ultimately it will be counterproductive. The only way to truly address the issues is to return to a government that can be jointly supervised by all Chinese citizens, so that taxpayers' money can be used in a meaningful and effective manner. But I don't see such thing happening. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, please press like, subscribe and share. This is Stan. I see you in the next one. Bye bye.